MOSSY QUINN, a double header here in Croke Park. The first game was Clare versus Roscommon. It was 2-15 to 117 in the end. Clare coming away with a win, their first win here in we don't know how long. I tried to figure out on the way down to the post-match interviews and we're unsure. They were here in 2016, they lost then. They're here in 92, they lost then, and before that it was 75 years before that, I'm told anyway, so a massive moment for them.
Huge moment, yeah, and they deserved it. You know, they were very good performance in the first half. They were by far the better team. Now, in fairness, Roscommon responded well in the second half and surged into a 4-point lead. And I suppose, from a Roscommon point of view, 4 points up in the 69th minute, they'd be disappointed not to close it out. But the heart and the resilience that Clare showed, Keelan Sexton in particular, finished the penalty brilliantly to bring it back to a 1-point game. Got an excellent 47-metre free to draw it level, and then a brilliant winner as well. So, really strong performance from Clare.
Roscommon are definitely going to be really disappointed. We were talking here, when they got that third point, I thought, okay, they'll sail through here now, they'll keep going. They looked like they were finding their rhythm, and all of a sudden, Clare brought it back.
They did, yeah, and what was impressive was they were struggling in that second half. Like, they'd only scored 2 points for long periods, and Roscommon were coming to the fore. Roscommon subs had come in and made a difference, and they looked like they were the team finishing stronger. And in fairness, a couple of the Clare subs, David Tuberty came on and helped. While he didn't score, he showed a little bit of composure up front, started linking the play a little bit. Jamie Malone came forward, kicked that score at the end, and Colin Collins will be delighted. Made some good changes, and again, very real squad victory today, and you could see how much it meant to them on the field after.
Yeah, he was buzzing after the game, Colin Collins, and Keelan Sexton as well. 2-6 he scored here today. We've seen that penalty he stepped up for. Then also there was a free 45 yards out. He took it off the ground straight after to put them ahead. It was really brilliant by him.
It was, yeah, and he showed great leadership all throughout the game. He started well for them in the first half, finished the first goal well, was kind of bundled over the line, but he also got a great score from play. He was shown well out in front of the full back and winning possession. And again, Clare were impressive going forward. Certainly in the first half, they moved the ball around a little bit better, certainly than Roscommon did. And some of their option taking, some of their movement. They had a lot of runners coming from deep, and but Sexton was by far the standout player.
And for Roscommon now, it seems really disappointing over the last maybe number of years. They have a really strong squad, but I suppose just not getting those results in the big games, especially today. I think a lot of people would have tipped them to win. I spoke with Anthony Cunningham after, and yeah, he could see he was just devastated by this result.
Yeah, you can, and again, like they had a good victory in the Division 2 League final against Galway, and it kind of felt like they were setting themselves up for a big summer. And obviously they feel like they underperformed in the Connacht final against Galway, and while it ended up, I think it was 3 points in the end, they got a late goal to make it look a little bit closer than was. Galway were in command for much of that game, and they'll be disappointed again with today's performance. They were flat for long periods in the first half. They did pick it up after half time, but again, the way the game, they didn't close it out, and a little bit of naivety at times in terms of their decision making and some of the unforced errors they were having. And yeah, it kind of feels like they've plateaued a little bit, and they'll be very frustrated now this evening going home.
And for Clare, it's brilliant, a quarter final. It's really massive for them. Where can they go in this championship?
Well, they're obviously, they're going to be up against it. They're going to be up against one of the provincial winners. I'd imagine they'd be hoping to avoid Kerry just purely from a familiarity point of view in terms of not having to play them again. But obviously the other options there being Dublin, Galway or Derry. So look, no matter who they face, they're going to be the underdogs coming into it. But they've earned their opportunity to be here. They played some really good football, and they'll really look forward to the next couple of weeks training.
And we'll look as well at Caldare versus Mayo. It was Mayo in the end that got over the line, 2-13 to 14 points. Where was it that Kildare, I suppose, just lost it in the end, because they were going well and they were up by, I think it was 6 points, was it, in that second half?
Yeah, they were 6 up after 42 minutes, I think. And to me, it was some of their decision making. They made a couple of poor options up front in particular. Ben McCormick had a bad wide. I think Jimmy Hyland had another one, and they could have worked it into better scoring chances. And there was a couple of, felt like 2-point swings where they missed chances down this end, and Mayo would get up. So instead of being a 4-point lead, it was back to 2. And there was a couple of moments like that during the game. And fairness to Mayo, the Mayo subs made a big difference. It's one thing James Horn will be really happy with. Fergal Boland came on, kicked a couple of points. Darren McHale scored. Padraig O'Hara was involved with the goal, and even Jordan Flynn at the end got the icing on the cake at the end. So they had a big impact off the bench, whereas Kildare didn't have that. Subs didn't really make an impact, and you could see them tiring coming into that last 10 minutes, and ultimately I think that's what cost them.
And in those pressurised moments in the final 5-10 minutes even of the game, they were unsure who was taking the frees, in these crucial moments when you need to know. They were unsure. Jimmy Hyland stepped up and he was taking it on his good foot in the end. It was on the left side. there was just a bit of confusion, and I think that's when you really need to, be putting them over to push on and to get the victory. Was that maybe one of the big differences in the end?
Yeah, I think so, and it goes back to that decision making, and I think even in the first few minutes, Daniel Flynn made a brilliant mark, and he chose to kick it on his left foot. While it was slightly to a left-footed side, he definitely could have kicked it with his right foot. He ended up hitting the post and missing on his left foot. Jimmy Hyland in the second half also took a free out of his left. It ended up going to Hawkeye. It was given as a point, but to me, they're very scoreable on the right foot. Play to your strengths, and even that free that you described there, for a while they were calling the goalkeeper up to take it. He didn't look like he wanted to take it. To me, I was a bit surprised Kevin Feely didn't take it on his left foot. He's a good striker of the ball, and at that point they were 2 points up. At that stage of the game they were 2 points up. Again, that goes over, push it to 3, and all of a sudden Mayo go up and the next play is a goal, and the game is totally different.
And Daniel Flynn, you mentioned him there. I thought he did really well. I haven't seen this year those performances that you expect from Daniel Flynn, and I thought his athleticism, he was up and down the pitch, he got a few scores as well. He did well today.
He did, yeah. There's always these flashes of brilliance, and you can see it. He won one brilliant high ball in. He had another really brilliant run where he just has that electrifying pace that brings him by players, and still needs that a little bit more consistency to his game. I still think he could have a bigger impact on the game, but he does have, when you're going away from here to talking about the 4 or 5 best plays, he's probably involved in 2 of them, so he did show flashes, but again he'd be probably a little bit frustrated that he didn't have more of an impact, particularly in that last 10 minutes. Now, he worked extremely hard. There was one stage he was back in his own full back line, and that was the stage where Kildare were chasing the game, so you're kind of looking going, you'd love if they had him further forward rather than being back doing what he was doing, but in fairness he was putting it all out there for the team. But he has a lot of talent.
I'm just looking at the Mayo team here. Cillian O'Connor, some of the big names, Aidan O'Shea. I don't think they performed to what they can perform. Some of those more experienced players, they didn't really show up today.
Aidan and Keelan didn't have their best games, but Lee Keegan was absolutely sensational, and for me he's probably Mayo's best ever player. And when you look at him, how good he was again today, he shut Jimmy Hyland down from play pretty much at one end defensively, and then going forward he'd one score on the outside of his right in the first half. The score outside of his left in the second half was exceptional. I know he had a wide coming near the end, but he had another big hit in the second half and a 50-50 ball, and he's just top class, and he was one of the big leaders for Mayo, particularly when that game was going away from them in the second half. So while some of the others were a little bit quiet, he was sensational.
Yeah, I was just going to say he gets those scores in crucial moments, and he's not afraid to take them, and it's from out the field as well that he does it, and he gets them, and it just brings that momentum for them to kick on.
He does, yeah. It feels like no moment is too big for him in a game. It feels like he's always in control, he's always calm, he's always willing to back himself, and he has that skill set. And while he's a corner back out there, his job is to go out and shut people down. He has that ability to get forward and right foot, left foot, and again he just shows his calibre and how good a player he is.
And where can Mayo go from here? It wasn't easy for them out there today. I don't think any game they lost or they won to Monaghan by only a point. Everything's been sort of cagey and edgy. What can they do this year?
It's hard to know. This is what they do, though. They come through the back door, and they, at this stage, it's about getting results. After 45 minutes today, you were scratching your head, wondering it was as bad as they've been in a while, and you were wondering where it was going to come from. And they kind of got back into the game, and where do they go? There's no doubt. Again, they're going to come up against one of the provincial winners, and they'll likely be the underdog coming into the game. But Mayo won't worry about that. James Horn is another 2 weeks. Ideally they get a couple of bodies back. They missed Ryan O'Donoghue badly out there this evening. I think up front they're fairly disjointed up front. They were relying on their defence to score a lot for them today. I think if you look at it, a lot of it came from half back line, even full back line. Obviously Oisin Mullen getting a really good goal, so that's something they're going to have to look at. If they're going to beat one of the provincial champions, I think they're going to have to be better. They're going to have to get a bigger return from their forwards, and they're going to have to be a little bit slicker up front. So that, for me, for the next couple of weeks, that's obviously going to be something to target.